Okay, so welcome back. It's been a while, approximately about 6 weeks, so over a full month since I've done one of these videos. If you're wondering what happened, episode 29 I didn't really have a lot to say about, and 28, and episode 30 and 31, same difference. I didn't have a lot to say about either of them outside of just regurgitating the plot. And then episode 32 happened, and I had a good amount to say about that one, but I figured I wouldn't speak about it till 33 happened, and I kind of was a little sicker on episode 33, and now 34 is out, and I was like, oh god, I'm 6 episodes behind on these episodes. So, still kind of a little sick, nasally, and full of mucus because spring is murdering me yet again, like it does every year. So, I basically I'm kind of forcing my way through to finish this round of episodes because I imagine episode 35 is going to be a big one from the episode previews, and I kind of want to have a clean slate, so I'm going to just talk about 35 by itself. Even though obviously it's going to have a lot of 34 going into it, and I kind of want to talk about 34 by itself. So let's just do a really quick roundup of the episodes that I didn't talk about real quick just to get over them and give quick thoughts. So let's get into that, shall we? Episode 29, Kraken, Memory of Hiromi. So, basically, the basic gist of the episode is a more comedy-focused episode to cool down after everything that happened up until 29. The basic premise is everyone figures out that Hiromu is in fact alive and had basically slinked off back home. For those of you who don't know, they made actually a short special about Hiromu surviving the events that was his quote-unquote death and going home and taking a bath and being super depressed about basically everything. It was more of a drama compared to Revice being a more action-based series, as it took, at least tried to examine Hiromi, his whole character after everything that happened and him being used by the system. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if I will watch it. I might watch it, make an episode on it real quick. But I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really tell if it's good or not. And I haven't really heard anybody talking about it outside of a kind of joke about him saying he's no longer a Kamen Rider, which was paired with a joke about Spider-Man saying he's Spider-Man no more because he is the Spider Rider in this case. So yeah, Hiromi, hey, basically they decide to make a video, a collage of events to bring his memories back, because apparently he has amnesia. I don't know if he's actually faking or not. Again, haven't seen his special, so I can't really speak on it. And he apparently does not remember who he is or the Igarashi siblings. So they decided to make a movie about him in order to jog his memories, and it's kind of cool. It's a funny episode with a really quick fight at the end where Ikki fights against the new Giftarians called Giftarians True. It's the same Giftarian suit with the splash of color on it to make it stand out and look better. And that's the episode. I can comment, but commenting on comedy-focused episodes is kind of hard because I have to explain a joke, and that's just boring when you're talking about a comedy. It's best to just let you watch the comedy of the episode and talk about it yourself instead of explaining the joke, because explaining the joke is always pretty terrible, which is why I wasn't going to do this episode. If you want thoughts, episode's pretty fun. It's a pretty good cool down episode. Has some pretty funny jokes. Introduces a weird joke about Ikki being the one who's useless with technology, which feels really random. Like, it's a funny joke, but it feels really random. Also, there's a song. They have a new insert song in this episode that's about Vice. And it's a weird song, so I don't like the song itself, but I do like the BGM of it. And it's weird that they play this song now instead of playing it during, the parts where Vice was the main one fighting. During the hijack arc, if you want to call it that. So, yeah, 29, fun, but not meaty enough for my taste. And now let's move on to episode 30 and 31. Episode 30, Say You, Say Me, the aftermath of use of Youth, I cannot talk, and episode 31, Illusionary Guidance, Dream Afterwards. I'm lumping these two episodes into a single part because they're basically, just a Kamen Rider 2-part formula again. Only this time I feel it flows a lot between these two episodes, for probably the most in the entire series so far. The biggest thing about this episode is the fact that, or at least these two episodes, that it heavily focuses Vice's seiyuu, or voice actor, or VA. He is a major character in this, and there's also a bit of humor about Vice. Basically falling in love with his own voice actor, which is kind of funny in a meta sense, because it's basically him talking about himself. So there's like a weird being way too into yourself. Fucking what was his name? I forget, but I'll remember later. It's a really weird being way too into yourself joke, especially because his Vice voice and his voice while he's playing this character are pretty similar. So that if you weren't looking at a screen, you're just listening to the voices, you would just think, oh, Vice is talking about himself, which he kind of is. But I know he probably didn't write the script, and it's just like a weird meta joke. But anyway, the main crux of the plot is Ikki going to his high school reunion, which, man, that feels weird. Or at least it's his high school soccer club reunion, which is kind of funny because it reminds me Ikki's a fucking adult, which I forget sometimes. I keep remembering, oh wait, Ikki's in his mid-20s right now. Shit, I keep forgetting that. Or like he's in his early 20s or something. I still think he's 20 or something. Anyway, so he's there and he's talking with his senpai, who is the guy that is the seiyuu, or voice actor, in the universe. He's a super famous voice actor, and he is also Ikki's former senpai from the soccer club. And then another one of his soccer club friends shows up, and he basically has beef with Ikki that Ikki doesn't remember. And this two-parter is to explain the whole disappearing from pictures thing that was from way earlier in the season that everyone probably forgot about because of everything else that was happening. But anyway, so the other former, not the senpai, the other guy, he is also a okay, so I'm just gonna start using names. So Jiko, this is what I'm going to call him. He's the one that Ikki used to be partners with in soccer club, and Subaru is Ikki's senpai. And I forgot that's his actual name. Anyway, so Subaru, which is kind of funny to say out loud because ReZero, is trying to get Ikki and Jiko to be friends again because Ikki did something to Jiko and Ikki obviously can't remember it. And obviously, in order to help facilitate this, he invites him to basically do a radio show as Revice with Vice at the voice acting place. I want to say studio, but I don't know if voice acting studios actually have radio podcast in there. Anyway, yeah, so we invite him to the studio. We get to see a bit of seiyuu work, which is pretty cool. And Jiko and Ikki have a bit of a fight, and then suddenly a dead man attack because we need to have a dead man fight. This dead man is pretty strong because Gift's influence, and Ikki gets hit by it, and then things go back to normal apparently until Ikki suddenly finds himself way later being attacked by I forget his name, but the dude who called him arrogant. He finds himself being attacked by him and fights him again. And it's kind of funny because Ikki was just called arrogant again, so it leads to this recurring theme of Ikki's arrogance, which is weird for his character because I don't think that's something that was brought up all that much outside of his intro stuff, which I think because he basically called himself the biggest busybody in Japan in episode 4, I thought he was over this, but apparently it's a recurring element of his character. But anyway, yeah, it turns out Ikki is in a dream world and needs help to get out of it. Episode 31 follows up on this as they try to figure out who put Ikki in the dream world and what's going on. As it turns out, obviously it wasn't Jiko, but Subaru, who did it to kind of force a resolution between Ikki and Jiko, because as it turns out, Ikki had accidentally injured Jiko back when they were playing soccer during the soccer club, and this caused Jiko to quit soccer. One of those tragic leg injuries that... This is basically the plot of that episode of Kamen Rider Wizard. like that's all I could think about when I saw this. Like, I know this is a super tragic thing, but all I could think about was, isn't this that plot point from Kamen Rider Wizard? It was like, it's that plot point from Wizard again. And it's like, yeah, it's super tragic, and it's honestly pretty well executed. I think the Wizard episode did it better, though. There's a pretty well executed version of it still in this episode. But, you know, it's a cliched sports anime thing where it's like, oh, you accidentally hurt your friend in one specific way that caused him to potentially never be able to do this sport again. And so now he's super mad at you about that. And then he gets over it years down the line as he follows a new passion and or decides to assist you in the passion. It's just kind of funny how it just pops up here randomly. I mean, it's not random because we saw Ikki's soccer trophies and there was a big question about, hey, why did you quit soccer, Ikki? That has basically been hanging over our heads since, like, episode 1. Anyway, yeah, so Subaru has lost control of the dead man. If you're wondering, it's the Rafflesia dead man. This is the plant that Valplume is based off of. It's the corpse flower, which is kind of funny. And I just want to bring in a random trivia about Pokemon because I like Pokemon. Anyway, yeah, so Ikki fights the dead man, obviously. Sakura fights the first, but she gets hit by the pollen and stuck into the dream world too. And I think Daiji's doing something else. He's basically busy with the recurring subplot during these 5 episodes that we'll talk about in episode 34. And so Ikki fights the dead man and beats it. Subaru's off to jail because, you know, again, still using the Vice stamp is considered a crime. So obviously he's off to jail / Phoenix's rehabilitation centers, which is jail. It's jail. He's going to jail. And we also get to see Jiko, because Jiko was becoming an aspiring voice actor, so now we get Jiko continuing that trend and him apologizing and him and Ikki basically burying the hatchet. And now we finally learn what's going on with Ikki about the whole disappearing from pictures thing. As it turns out, part of Ikki's contract with Vice, or the payment for it, which might have accidentally been created because, as we know from the fire incident that was caused by Veil, Ikki's memories were erased by Vice. And so it turns out, because Ikki's using Vice's powers when he fights his Kamen Rider, the more power he uses, the more his memories get erased. So the price for using the Revice system is the fact that Ikki gets his memories erased whenever he relies on Vice's power. Which, like, early in the series, it was framed as Vice kind of enjoying it, but now it's like a really somber moment, I guess, because of Vice's character arc. And yeah, again, I probably talked a lot more about these 2 episodes than I thought I would, but that's because I kind of combined them into one segment. But yeah, 5 episodes. I'll probably talk a bit more about them and their overall significance later on during the overall wrap-up. Okay, and now on to episode 32, Lost Whereabouts, Queen's Pride, and 33, Love Ku's Rebellion, Sakura's Resolution. So, these 2 episodes have 2 major plots, and the second one's a subplot that's for build-up. But the first major plot is finally dealing with the Aguilera plot line. She's basically calling out Sakura once again. This time she's calling her out once and for all to finally end things between them. Just one last fight so that she can get everything out of her system and maybe, die off in the way she wishes. Sakura obviously is feeling second thoughts about this because she obviously doesn't want to kill anybody. And so she's questioning whether or not to just rely on Ikki to do it. And at the same time, her hesitation is causing issues with the Libra driver and Love Ku because, Love Ku senses Sakura's hesitation and obviously doesn't want to go along with her and wants to, force her to form up her resolve. As, Love Ku represents her weakness or her weaker self. And as such, Love Ku, I guess, is also trying her hardest to make Sakura become a stronger person. at least in this regard. So 32 doesn't really do a lot outside of that plot line. It's just Sakura and Aguilera, and we get a bit into Aguilera and how she was basically raised and brainwashed by the cult and really has nothing but the cult, and which is why she is the way she is now. Then there's Daiji's subplot, which again I'll touch on in 34. It's more important to later on than it is in these episodes. And then, well, there's 33. Again, 32 basically just leads into 33, which is the resolution, in which Sakura finally affirms her resolve at the end of 32 to finally have one last fight with Aguilera and end this beef between them. And also, Vale has a new physical form, and obviously because he is a demon similar to Vice, Vale has a... He's a Vice recolor. He has a Vice recolor. I think I might have mentioned that he was potentially the director's demon, but no, he is fully Genta's demon, no one else's, and he's just working with the director in a more personal case. I think this was also the episode that mentioned that Ikki's dad had returned to the group and was basically being hidden away by Weekend in a special warehouse. It might have been the last episode, I don't know, but I'm just staying abreast about his location, considering the fact that might be a major plot point down the road. I'm not sure what they're doing with his character right now, outside of giving him a prequel miniseries and keeping him out of the plot away from Vale at the moment. Anyway, so I'm probably going to do the Vale specials once they're all wrapped up, but anyway, so, Sakura and Aguilera have their fight. It's kind of cute because at first they have a little girls' day, and it's kind of cute because it's Aguilera's first time, acting like a normal person. And her and Sakura have cute moments, and their simps are watching them. Like, it's Takumi and the other guy whose name I forget. I'm probably going to need to remember it for next week's episode. But for now, he's just Sakura's simp. It's funny because at least in the joke about episode 34. Anyway, they're basically watching over them, and Ikki's watching over them, and then he fights Vale. And Vale has all the powers of Ikki's previous Vice stamps, thanks to the director giving him the Vice stamp. So he basically can use all of Ikki's standard Vice stamp powers to basically augment himself, which is a pretty cool thing. Pretty cool. Let's see some decent fight in this episode. And then we finally have the big fight with Sakura and Aguilera. It's a pretty emotional moment, and then Sakura obviously makes the win, but as it turns out, she has a new weapon based off the Shoebell Vice stamp, those really big-ass birds with pelican mouths. Anyway, she uses that, which forms a scythe, which is really cool. Good to see a scythe weapon in Kamen Rider, not used by a villain, and she uses it to finally beat Aguilera, but this new weapon was created thanks to George's help and allows her to separate Aguilera from her demon without relying on Ikki's power, so it's something that she can do herself, as her firm resolve was that she wanted to save Aguilera no matter what. And the episode ends with the girls taking a cute bath together. That could be phrased better. It's a cute moment where they take a bath together because, a bathhouse, which is a recurring thing because that's, the Igarashi family business. Oh, God. Someone please don't take that phrasing out of context. But it's a cute moment between the pair to cement that they are now truly friends. And Aguilera joins Weekend, which is kind of cool to see. She's mostly just there to back up Sakura, but still, it's cool to see her moving forward with her life. And she has a new name now. It's said in the next episode, but her name is now Hana. Dang it, what's her name? Hana Natsuki, or Natsuki Hana. Which is why the Subaru thing was funny to me, because ReZero joke, the Natsuki Subaru. Now we have a Natsuki, and last week we had a Subaru. Again, it's just a funny thing, funny coincidence to me. Although I'm pretty sure the name Hana is in a reference to flowers and bees, because Hana means flower in Japanese. From my very, very, very limited understanding of Japanese. And anyway, let's move on to the next episode finally. And finally, we are here on episode 34, The Demon is Calling the Demon, which is kind of a fun title. It's just a fun title to me. It's kind of funny to say. The Demon is Calling the Demon. Anyway, so the episode's main focus is basically following up on the Daichi subplot that's been running through the past 4 episodes that I haven't been mentioning. Daichi subplot involves him tackling, or at least dealing with, the director of Phoenix. I forget his name. Give me a second. So he's dealing with him, and this is the culmination of it. But it starts off pretty cute. It starts off with Sakura and Hana. Remember, Aguilera has changed her name to Hana Natsuki, or Natsuki Hana, if you want to say it the Japanese way. And she is joined Weekend, and Takumi and Hikaru, the dude who is Sakura's simp, I call them the Simp Squad, are following them around because they are simps. That is why he's following them around, because they're both simps for the girls. And it's at least a funny joke, because it's like the 2 girls basically being, teenage girls out having fun together. Then just looks to the right and the most serious expression on their faces, and just the 2 dudes trying to act as casual as possible, despite the fact they're obviously following them around. Like, it's kind of funny. I like it. It's a funny ass joke to start the episode, and it's just, again, it's just fun. I like it before we get hit with the serious bomb. So the director of Phoenix, whose name is Hideo Akeishi, he's obviously a dead man. He's a villain. He is a dead man. He's actually one of the founders of the Dead Men. He is also one of the members of Noah, the previous group. He is Osaleta's mentor figure, and he is a direct servant of GIF. He, as we find out in this episode, has a lot going on. Anyway, he makes an announcement that some bad shit's coming down. Destruction of the peace is imminent, and so Daiji, who has had a recurring plot line through these episodes of trying to fight him, decides that now is the time to fight him on the open. But also this is spurred by the fact that he has kidnapped a Phoenix scientist who was close to Hiromi, the doctor girl that we saw throughout the course of the episodes. He has kidnapped her and has basically shown her GIF in a way, and has been brainwashing her this entire time, at least, forcing her into learning a secret horrible truth that we will probably find out either later or relatively soon, and antagonizing the fuck out of Daiji. And so Daiji comes up with a plan to fight him, and we also have a funny moment because we get cosplay Vice's Vice tries to look like a normal human, because he's following Ikki's mom around, acting as a bit of a bodyguard, because, Vale is out there, and Vale has one obvious motivation: kill the Igarashi family. So, yeah, that makes sense. So we get a unsuited Vice fight, which is kind of weird to say considering the Vice is in a suit, but we get an unsuited Vice fight where he fights Vale, where Vale is clearly outclassing him and trying to get into Vice's head to convince him that at some point he might turn out like him, and he has lost his pride as a demon, or a devil. So that's a pretty cool fight. Ikki eventually joins up in the fight, but they let Vale get away by accident, or at least Vice lets Vale get away by accident. But then the family comes together because they all have a plan to get the director and save Akemi. This plan involves utilizing the testing day of the demon's driver in order to put him in a single spot so they can jump him, essentially. The plan is to get him to a spot and jump his ass. As it turns out, George has been augmenting the demon's driver so that it doesn't have the super deadly side effect, with George also mentioning that he will begin mass production of it upon approval. So, mass produce Kamen Riders, which is always kind of fun to see. We get a more basic rider unit, although this is obviously going to lead to over demons. So we'll wait till next week's episode to talk about overdemons, although we've been hearing that sound for the longest time. Anyway, obviously, he knows that they're planning to jump him, and has come up with his own plan, unveiling, or at least opening up a hole to Gifts wherever the hell he is, and summoning 2 Giftarians to fight the group. Daiji rushes in, gets his ass kicked immediately by the guy who has demonic superpowers and an eye in his hand as a courtesy from Gif. The eye also is reminiscent of the Gif coffin, so yeah. As it turns out, as he explains, he was the ruler of an ancient civilization that had encountered Gif, and he formed a contract with the demon so that he could be entrusted to help shape mankind's future. That's kind of weird. Like, especially considering the fact that he's an obviously Japanese guy, and Gif was found in South America, which is what they use to explain the dead man's cult's Latinoisms. Or Latinisms. I don't know why they decided to change that all of a sudden. I mean, maybe the dude's just fucking shapeshifter. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, he's a ruler. He's an ancient human who has decided to basically pull a Vandal Savage and become immortal thanks to help. I mean, not a complete Vandal Savage, but he's basically pulling a Vandal Savage and is trying to rule over humanity's future while also standing alongside an ancient demon. So again, not a complete Vandal Savage if you know DC Comics, but still he's a Vandal Savage type character. Super ancient, immortal, old dude who is controlling the world, or at least believes he has the right to conquer and control the world. Anyway, the fight is obviously not going well, and then Vandal shows up and makes it worse. Daiji is also, again, taken out of this fight for the most part, as he gets a giant gash along his neck, and I was like, isn't that the jugular vein? I mean, you're not going to die yet, because you're in next week's preview episode, but still, you might want to get a doctor to look at it. Oh, Akemi's a doctor. Too bad she gets turned into a demon by Gif. Yeah, Akemi, thanks to having seen the truth from the director, has decided to say, fuck it all. This is all of her hope, and basically gives into the despair, and Gif turns her into a demon. That her demon self is called Gif Demos, which that's a little on the nose. So essentially just means Gif demon. And that ends the episode. So yeah. Okay, so general thoughts on all the previous episodes. Starting off with 29. 29, a fun episode, but nothing really too important. You can honestly skip it outside of seeing the new Giftarian forms. If you just want a fun episode to kind of wrap up the Hiromi situation, then there you go. 29 and 30, fine. They're fun episodes to give a little bit more to Ikki's backstory and explain the whole early plot point about the whole disappearing from pictures thing. And we now know that Ikki's memories are being erased, so we can expect at the end of the series to be some big moment where Ikki either completely loses his memories to wrap up the show, or loses his memories temporarily and then gets them back because of someone's sacrifice, probably Vice's sacrifice. And then 32 and 33, pretty good two-parter to wrap up the Aguilera plotline, introduce her as Hana now, and pretty emotional moment for Sakura, which is probably her big moment in the series, and possibly her final weapon. Like, she might get another weapon, but the big scythe, pretty good final weapon for her to use for the rest of the series. Because, we already have Daiji getting his final form with Holy live. So it makes sense to give Sakura, wrap up her plotline. Also take out another dead man by giving her this giant Shubil scythe. Again, really great stuff. And now on to 34, the meaty episode. Oh boy, do I really like this one. Again, the previous 5 episodes have been pretty light in terms of stuff outside of, Daiji's subplot that's been running throughout the course of the 5 or 4-ish episodes. I mean, it comes up a bit in 29, but it's not really popping off until episode 30. Anyway, it's a good way to wrap up the plot line and basically force it into the main plot. I do have to say, I find it especially hilarious that like Akemi gets herself kidnapped because she's basically doing an investigation for Daiji, and then Daiji spends like 3 fucking episodes trying to find her when she's been basically in the office the entire time being brainwashed or being shown the truth. It's just kind of funny, at least if you ask me. And then finally, because the horrible revelations, which we'll find out probably later, she decides to become a demon and now might kill Daiji. At least Daiji's going to have a big important boss fight with her in the next episode. As for the director himself, mixed bag of a villain. Like, he carries, like, he's basically the mouthpiece for GIF at this moment, because, obviously GIF is not so much a character as basically as an ongoing continuous threat. So he hasn't talked a single line the entire series, which I guess is fine. It's kind of the arc situation. Hopefully have a better outcome than the arc situation. Giving him a decent enough mouthpiece in the form of the director works. It continues the corruption of Phoenix plotline and explains Weekend's entire existence. But as a character, mixed bag. Like, I like the moments when he's all camped the fuck up, because it's kind of hilarious. Like, dude has obvious superpowers and beats the piss out of Daiji in one episode just because. Like, dude's like, oh, you're just because like Daiji's questioning his authority somewhat, so he beats the piss out of him with his fucking superpowers. And like, it's just kind of funny, if you ask me, and I kind of love it that this dude's just like, oh, I also have amazing fucking powers and just fuck shit up. As for the complete and utter fucked everyone is at the end 34, I'm like, yes, I've been waiting for it to get this fucking terrible, because we're close to the end. We have probably about 10 episodes left, because, it's already May. They're going to need to get ready for the next season, which we're probably going to get drops about soon, or at least in the next month or so. It's already May. They've got 3 episodes this month, 4 episodes next month, 4 episodes next month. So we might be getting about 10 plus episodes. But, if we're going to continue to get a week of episodes until September, we're in the last stretch of the series. So we have to kind of amp up the villainy. And this is a good way to do it. Just rush to the end, although we also need an excuse for the final Revice form, which I'm questioning now because they're putting a lot more emphasis on Icky and Vice's relationship again, with Vice being the one downing it now, or at least downing Icky now because of what happened with Vale and Genta. Then it makes me question if the Revice form, the final form, will truly be the two combined into one form, as everyone suspected, because, obviously Thunder Gale and Hijack form are Icky and Vice combining into one form instead of being 2 separate forms. It makes me wonder if we're going to get a final form where they're separated again, or if we're going to get one where they're in one suit. Again, it's a decent question, because it's up in the air right now. Although, we obviously know the series is going to end with them getting some kind of Vice stamp that lets them use live Devil Revice. Like, I'm partially joking, but considering the fact this has happened twice, 3 times, and we might actually see live Devil Revice as a quote unquote new form in the finale episode that it uses to wrap up the final boss fight. Again, you call it Deus Ex Machina, I call it hilarious. Anyway, yeah. It makes me question some things. Like, the director, as I said earlier, he's a complete vandal savage who is trying to control humanity's future by the power of GIF. And I kind of wonder if GIF will remain this kind of personality-less, force of evil villain, or if maybe Hideo will merge with GIF and become his literal mouthpiece. I don't know. It's an interesting thought, though. Although the GIF suit itself doesn't look like it can move around that much to fight, but, I don't know. I mean, people said that the fucking Overlord, that one Overlord, and Gaim, he probably couldn't find his suit. And while he couldn't move around a lot, he still got up and used that giant-ass sword to fight, so maybe GIF will be a similar thing. The main thing with gift suit is the weight distribution around the head. I imagine you have a original Batman suit situation in terms of looking around you. And they move the whole neck. Anyway, enough about suits. Let's talk about. Again, this is a fun batch of episodes. Really liked 34. Really liking the whole everybody's fuck thing. I like Vale being a more present threat as a villain. Because, again, his whole deal is kill the Igarashi family. So what's he do? Try to kill the Igarashi family. It just kind of works for me, you know. It's just a basic ass goal. I will murder your entire family for betraying me. What does he do? Tries to murder the dude's entire family for betraying him. Again, I like it. I like Vale as a present threat. He's a clearly strong fucker and is basically a pretty cool mini boss for this set of rest of the series, because he might just be the mini boss going forward, or maybe we'll see a return of Kamen Rider Vale, either probably without Vale or with Vale. I don't know. Maybe him and Genta will have some form of resolution. I don't know. Everything's up in the air right now. Although considering how evil they're hyping up Vale, I doubt there's going to be a resolution between him and Genta, unless Genta decides to just call him out for a one-on-one fight that gets them both killed or something. Either way, I like this episode. Really cool. The whole batch of episodes was pretty good, although some of it was pretty mid. But again, 34, really good. I also liked the Vice and Vale fight. That was a pretty fun mirror match situation. So yeah, I'll see you all next time on episode 35. And until then, see you next time, everybody.